Welcome to a replay of one of our many excellent talks from Secure Southwest 15, and thanks again to our sponsors Securious, C3IA, CrowdStrike and the British Computer Society, and most importantly our prime sponsor, the UK Government Department of Digital, Culture, Media and Sport.
So moving on, pretty much on time, a really great question. Why diversity matters. I think it's vexed us a lot in the past. It's becoming a lot clearer. And Laura and Lucy, who we know well from the work with the cluster, are going to tell us why diversity matters. So I haven't met Laura yet, and so she's in the room. I'm being very ignorant, but my guess is she's not here. She's just on her way. So there we are. And Pete, have we got Lucy online? Great stuff. One minute, apparently. I'll tell you a joke if I can remember the punchline. That'll be a very, very risky game. Hello, Lucy.
Hi. Hello. Sorry, I was just on mute. Hello. I've got a bit of tonsillitis, so good thing that I couldn't attend today because I don't want to infect everyone.
Well, you're in good company because Erica didn't make it either because she was similarly suffering.
Yeah, lots of stuff going around. No, it's a great event, so I'm really enjoying it.
Great stuff. Thank you, Lucy. And this is Laura, who's going to tell us why diversity matters.
Thank you. Thank
Just
you. Bear with me a moment, guys. There's the. Have we got the slides? Oh, brilliant. Thank you. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for having me here. Do I just press this one, yeah? So my name is Laura Wellstead. I'm here today to talk about why diversity matters. Next slide. There we go, yes. So my name's Laura Wellstead. I have 20 years corporate risk management experience. Yes, I am that old. I actually specialise in talent and people risk management now and have done for probably 8 years or so now. By talent and people risk management, and that's a combination of workforce by design and recruitment. So a lot of strategic work that goes into helping a business attract and retain talent, essentially, and close those skills gaps. I'm also president of Women in Cybersecurity UK. Next slide, please. Women in Cybersecurity is a global non-profit. We have 6,000 members globally, 35 professional affiliates globally, and 120 student chapters globally. We are a global, as I said, community of women, allies and advocates, women and men, and we are dedicated to bringing women together to celebrate and foster the passion for cybersecurity. We unite lots of communities, aspiring and thriving women, professionals, students across the world to collaborate, share knowledge, mentor and network. We have a 50-50 split in terms of professionals and students, and we create opportunities through professional development programs, conferences, careers fairs, and much, much more. Next slide, please. So, mission critical is what we talk about. Cybersecurity mission critical for every organisation. Yet, we're still looking at 51% of UK businesses having a basic cyber skills gap. We've actually had in the last 12 months a 58% increase in cyber jobs advertised in the last year, which is apparently 14,000 annual shortfall of people that are entering the market. That's the most recent DCMS statistics, I believe. Next slide, please. But what does it really mean? What does diversity really mean? Diversity is what makes each of us unique. It's our backgrounds, our personality, our life experiences, our beliefs, and that's what makes us who we are. These are a distinctive differences and characteristics, and they shape the view of our world, our perspective, and our approach. Next slide, please. But what is diversity in the workplace? What does it look like? There are 9 common characteristics that businesses currently identify with, being these on the screen here. But there are actually 39 unique diversity characteristics that exist in the workplace. I thought there'd be quite a lot there to put on the screen, so I haven't done, but it's quite alarming that, you know, there are, although 9 are great, that they're actually given the time of day to focus and you know, create an environment that is inclusive for these characteristics to be able to thrive. But actually there's just so much more out there that we need to be doing. Next slide, please. Diversity in the workplace. What is the value creation? You know, here you can see, you know, 8 key points of the value creation for businesses generally across the board for you know, have diverse teams: higher employee engagement, greater innovation, productivity, faster decision making. It reduces employee turnover, which, you know, in turn is creating a better company reputation, greater employer brand, attracting more people, great talent to the business, and essentially, you know, that creates increased profits at the end of the day for all businesses. So it's fantastic. Next slide, please. Yet, however, the statistics are still really, really low. These were from last year's DCMS Cyber Skills Labour Market Report. So you've got female, ethnic minorities, those with disabilities, and neurodivergent. And they're measured on the total cyber workforce. So for women, essentially, in this column here, 16% women make up the total cyber security workforce. That was the DCMS figures from last year. 3% being senior cyber workforce women. That's compared to 26% in the entire digital workforce. And then when you compare that against the total UK workforce, which is 46%, I believe. So the numbers are still incredibly low. Obviously, we've got ethnic minorities, those with disabilities, neurodivergent there as well. The neurodivergent numbers are only measured at the moment on the numbers there are only for cyber workforce and senior cyber workforce, of which you've got 10% identify as women, and 2%, I believe, was for senior women neurodivergent. So it's alarming, you know, on the basis of what we need, not enough's being done to increase those numbers and attract more people, creating the environments for these people in the workplace. Next slide, please. Diversity in the workforce, specifically for cybersecurity. Why is it, you know, why is it important? The unlike-minded is what we need. The diversity of thought. Our best chance of defending against any attacks is, it depends on how well we understand psychology and behaviours. And to be able to understand the psychology and behaviours, we need a vast depth and breadth of experiences, skills, backgrounds, and beliefs. As an example, SolarWinds attack was made up of 1,000 engineers of a globally distributed workforce. These people, most of them probably never met each other, you know, recruited through the dark web for, you know, on the basis that somebody said they were good at their job. No CVs, they don't apply for a job, yet they can create and build these, you know, incredibly smart, skilled and effective teams. You know, it gives you a slightly different perspective when you think about how we recruit and we build our teams, and the rigorous process we go through to identify, assess, and then attract and onboard these people into our teams. And the attackers, you know, have built these globally distributed teams of incredibly effective and dangerous forces. So it's a slightly different way to think about, you know, what differently could we be doing around our recruitment process, right? To create powerful teams. 30% of our cyber workforce are actually non-technical backgrounds, and the non-technical backgrounds are so undervalued. And that's something that we really, really need to work harder on to really attract more diverse talent. Next slide, please. So bridging the gap. What can we do? How harder can we work? What are the things we should be looking at? Investing in the talent pipeline, rebranding cyber potentially. Next slide, please. So in terms of investing in the talent pipeline, we should be thinking more with a people first approach. So when we want to recruit, when we want to attract talent to our business, how do we approach that? We really need to understand and think about the wants and needs of our of people, of talent. What is it? What is it that drives them? What is it about that job that is going to attract them to that business and keep them there? What is that? What is it that they're really, really interested in? A recent study, I think it was an ISC Squared, said the 3 priorities for people in cybersecurity is: number 1, what is the purpose? What is that? What is the purpose of their role? What is the real world difference they're going to be making in that business? How they're going to be adding value and making a difference. Number 2, work-life balance. Number 3, salary, which is interesting. So actually, how do you approach that? How do you market that? How do you talk to candidates? What is the language and content you're using? How do you build your job descriptions? How do you really engage and capture their interest? Also, look beyond the CV. What are the got to haves versus the nice to haves? What are the core skills really, really needed to be able to deliver against those business objectives for you? What is it? What are you looking at doing now versus what are you looking at doing next year? What is the strategy? What are the objectives? What is the growth plan for the business? So much can be taught and built on the job from a skills perspective, but you can't replace those core skills. Those communication skills. Not replace them. Sorry, you can. Those are what people bring to the business. Communication skills. So I've lost my train of thought. Rosie, core skills, communication, professional skills, lateral thinking. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Also, so culture. Going back to the culture piece again. Cybersecurity really needs to be rebranded as a career in business. It's not a career in the basement anymore, was it ever? But actually, how do we as an industry or society depict what this industry is, or what these roles actually mean, and how they support and underpin a business? Security is the bedrock of any business now. So actually, you're a business enabler. You're not a technical hoodie wearing, basement working professional. You are a key core part of that business to make that business be as effective and as profitable and as safe as it can be. The mission. What is that mission of the business? What is the mission of the security practice and framework around that business? How does security underpin and make that business work? Do your employees actually understand, or your future employees actually understand what part they play in that team, in that business? How do they add value? Do they feel like they really make a difference and belong in that business? Next slide, please. Oh, already. Where were Lucy? Hi, Lucy.
Hi. Oh, sorry, I've got a really sore throat. So I'm a security consultant at C3 Solutions, which is an NCSC certified cybersecurity consultancy and pool. So I touch on a lot of things like risk management, supply chain security, cyber essentials, and things like that.
Thank you, Lucy. So Lucy is recent graduate, now in security consultancy role with C3I Solutions, and she is going to talk to us a little bit about the barriers to entry, around her experiences as a female and as a young professional entering the industry, from when she first caught the bug for cybersecurity. So when did you, Lucy? How did you become interested in cybersecurity? What was it that really caught your eye?
So I always liked programs like Catfish, The Real Hustle, and then I kind of took IT in college, not really knowing what to expect, and I just found a real love for it. None of my friends really were interested in IT, so I just kind of put that aside and just kind of focused on what I loved doing, and I saw a potential in doing some kind of IT related career, and then when I was looking online for types of courses at university, I found cybersecurity management at Bournemouth, and I think it was one of their first or second years actually trying the course out. So I thought I'd just go ahead and apply for it, because I was always interested in staying up to date with the latest technology and the digital world. So that's kind of where it came from, really, the interest.
And so what course did you take?
Cybersecurity management at Bournemouth.
And why did you choose that one?
I chose that one because it was really broad. I think a lot of people have the perception that cybersecurity is just really technical. You have to be a programmer, but that's not really the case. I don't program. And my main interest is in things like social engineering, human factors. And because that course was so broad, it kind of just touched on every kind of topic within cybersecurity.
Okay, so on the course, what was the makeup of your fellow colleagues, your fellow student colleagues?
Yeah, so basically there was about 10 girls and 70 guys. I started in 2016, so I don't know if those numbers have changed, but I mean, obviously a very small number of women.
How do you think at the time they could have done anything better around actually marketing the course or the information out there for the course? Is there anything differently they could have done, just think, around attracting more women?
Yeah, definitely. I think probably girls get put off by computer science type degrees, and actually my course, it wasn't really that technical in a sense. I remember on my open day, I was just a room full of guys, and there weren't really many women there. So I feel like maybe people get put off just going on to the open day. So I think the way of marketing these things does probably need to change.
Yeah, rebranding, like we were saying. So were there any challenges? So 10 girls, 70 blokes. What were the kind of experiences? What did you experience in that environment? Were there any challenges through your studies?
Yeah, definitely. I think all of the women on my course, including myself, we did face sexism on a regular basis, especially when we received good grades. Some of the men on the course, they didn't really understand, why we were getting good grades, why maybe some of our grades were better than theirs. They would make a lot of sexist comments just to try and, I guess, like validate it. You have to have a thick skin, but equally, I think it's clear when something is definitely not a joke. I never have received any kind of discrimination from lecturers or actually in the industry, at work, nothing of the sort. I've only really experienced it when I was at university by the guys on my course.
Okay, that's really interesting. It's not, it's terrible, but it's obviously it happens. There was a statistic recently. I think it was in NCSC Decrypting Diversity report that of the, they surveyed 945 industry professionals, and of those professionals, I think there was something like 16% of women in the industry are leaving the industry because of discrimination, typically sexism type discrimination. So that's it's something obviously that's still really needs a lot of work on. So how are you finding it in your role at work? So you said obviously, the experiences, the challenges you faced obviously at university, but actually in the role, in the workplace, what are they, are there any challenges still you find in the workplace?
So it's definitely more challenging for women, I think, in the sector. We need more women in the industry. I just personally feel like I need to constantly prove myself because I am a minority. Although I've received a lot of positive feedback and valuable help and knowledge from the people I work with and the people around me within the industry. Although, I'm at the start of my career, I do definitely feel like a small fish in a big pond, but I found that everyone is extremely supportive and encouraging. So this just makes me really want to continue and really push myself in the industry. I think it's highly motivating, especially as a young woman. It can seem daunting being a minority, but it's also very powerful. And I definitely would encourage more women to just look into the sector. I don't think it should put anyone off at all, since if cyber is your passion, then, being a young woman, being someone, who's diverse, it's definitely an advantage to the industry. And again, I think that a lot of people, especially women, have the perception of cyber being really technical, but there's just so many areas that you don't really have to touch on, things like programming or anything like that. So I think, as you said previously, rebranding and making people aware of it doesn't have to be technical, and there's so many different areas within cyber. I think it's really important that people know that.
Yeah, recasting as a career in business, not as a career in the basement, I think is it's a term I'm using all the time at the moment. I think it's so important. It's the shift in the workplace and the roles in the workplace these days.
Yeah.
Something, the statistic I'm trying to remember now, 80% or something of roles in the workplace at the moment will be redundant in the next 15 years. It may even be shorter than that, I think. So it's, the roles themselves obviously are being adopted or automated, and actually, the new skills are needed now to actually underpin and, the human element of actually delivering around the technology. It's just a way of life, but it's not tech. It doesn't make every business a tech business. It makes every business a business at the end of the day. It's definitely a lot of work we've got to do. There's something I was just going to mention. So yeah, is there any lasting thoughts, Lucy, from you'd like to add?
Again, I guess it's just really important to have diversity within the workspace. As you need new ideas and different ways of thinking in order to determine the best ways to solve a problem. It's important, obviously, to hire young people as well, so that the industry can evolve and continue to grow, so that we have a safe future. And if we're always hiring the same kind of person, then you're going to always get the same outcome, and it's going to be harder to grow and flourish. And I think as well, even if you're the only one out of your friend group who likes IT or cyber, which is what I experienced, my friends aren't interested in that kind of thing. I think it doesn't matter. Just go with what you're passionate about and just continue doing what makes you happy, really.
Yeah. Part of the diverse team's composition is about the educational and experiential path that they've taken into cybersecurity, right? So it's not all professionals' routes into the field are the same, and it's that's the real value of bringing the unlike-minded together, isn't it? One thing actually, what I wanted to mention was you were talking about the way that your colleagues treat you in the workplace and how they, how your business, your leader makes you feel, how you're made to understand your purpose and where you fit. And that's the bit that underpins diversity. It's the equity, the inclusion, and the belonging piece. Without that, diversity doesn't work. Diversity isn't a tick box. When, from a hiring perspective, we'll make sure we've got, a balance of men, women, neurodiverse, whatever, that looks like, or whatever the strategic objectives are of the business. It's all very well saying we want to be a diverse team, we're growing a diversity, but actually, how does that diversity flourish without the equity, without the inclusion, and without the feeling of belonging? It just doesn't work.
Yeah, definitely.
Laura, we've got a question coming before Lucy is off screen, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Lucy, what difference of thought value do women bring to cybersecurity?
Yeah, I think women have a different way of thinking, of course, like any other background. So if you're hiring the same kind of person, or, if you're just hiring women, for example, you need to have males involved, to have different ways of thinking. It might be more logical or more strategic, but different ideas and different backgrounds helps for ideas to grow.
The emotional element, I think women can bring the why behind the reasoning of why somebody wants to do something.
Thank you, Lucy. Dora, I've got 4 other questions here. Is it time to run those past you?
Yeah,
see how we get on. Anonymous, how do you ensure that by increasing diversity, it does not skew the team dynamics and productivity of the business? That's presuming that you've defined what productivity looks like in the business in the first place.
How can you repeat that for me?
Surely. How do you ensure that by increasing diversity, it does not skew the team dynamics and productivity?
Skew the team dynamics.
It feels to me like it could skew anyway, even if you don't have diversity.
Productivity in the business, it's about understanding the strategic goals of the business at the end of the day, and then you align, what productivity looks like with to the strategic goals, and therefore, you build your team around the needs of the business. Yeah.
So it cuts both ways. If you don't plan it for diversity, then you'll get one answer to a question, and it'll be naturally skewed anyway.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Teresa. I've named you, and I'm going to do the terrible thing. As a woman of 49, thinking of retraining into cybersecurity, it concerns me that so few senior women are in the industry. Am I wasting my time?
No, not at all. That's the point, really. It's actually, what we do with RESIS, it's not just about recruiting people into the industry, it's about advancing people in the industry as well. It's actually giving people the confidence and the knowledge and the tools and the skills, helping build them to become leaders in the industry. Yeah. And actually there are a lot of leaders in the industry, but we don't know or hear about them. And it's about, we really need to identify, and we really need to promote role models to actually give women the confidence to, she can do it, I can do it. Yeah. People that they can actually identify with, that they can affiliate with, and actually, and mentorship as well. It's for having a mentor as a woman, I think, well, as anybody, for any part of your career is absolutely critical. But actually, it really helps foster people's passions and helping them grow. It's
the drive, gives them a drive. Yeah, and we're seeing. I'm just seeing some very similar issues with regards to the Cyber First Schools program, which is you've got to tell the narrative by example. You've got to have examples where kids can look and say, well, I can achieve that. Yeah. Exactly. Two related. There's a comment actually from Slido here, and a question from Pete, which I think the two probably relate. The comment was, as a retired company director, I want to advise Laura and stress that the culture of the business does not tolerate any workplace discrimination. I would institute procedures and checks to ensure that these standards were followed by talking directly to the staff privately who might suffer from bias. The question is, do you think that companies should sign up to codes of conduct and ethics for cybersecurity professionals like other professional disciplines?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far are we away from doing that? Or are we there in part?
No.
Not at all.
No. We're a long, long way to go. We've got there's an initiative, Respect and Security, Pete, isn't there? So that's fantastic. But it's there's a lot of work. Yeah, a lot of work to go.
Work to do. And a final question: how does the number of women leaving the industry due to sexism compare to the wider world of work? Is this indicative of an issue within the industry itself, or a shameful representation of modern society as a whole? Good question.
It's the tech industry in its entirety is very well known for its discrimination and sexism against women.
Yeah.
Society as a whole, I don't believe. I just think it's perhaps in a slightly self-perpetuating environment as tech as a whole, and cyber being a
subcomponent of it.
Subcomponent of that.
Yeah. So the answer is to look at the broader roles for security, not just the technical ones.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you, Laura. That was great. Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks. Cheers.
We'll go and get you gargle with some medicinal thing now, and you can soothe the throat. So the second time today, thank you for persevering through that. Much appreciated.